Hello, everybody in the Finding Your Voice Network. This is Renee Reisch coming in with another wonderful interview. I've had the privilege of meeting Oscar Segurado, and I've asked if he would join us today and do this interview, and he graciously agreed. So I'm going to read a little bit about him with his bio and then just get right into it. So here we go. Oscar is a physician scientist living in the San Francisco Bay Area with decades of experience in neuroscience and immunology and over 100 scientific and news articles in top-rated journals as Nature and Lancet, also a veteran of the medical industry. As a neuroscience and immunologist, he has studied the interaction of the mind with the nervous and immune system and how it affects our well-being, especially with anxiety. And he said when his fast-paced life was rocked with painful events affecting two close family members, he questioned everything about his life while developing unbearable levels of anxiety. That's when he decided to address his anxiety, reflecting deeply, looking for answers inside of himself, returning to his roots as a young doctor, passionate for neuroimmunology and integrative medicine, unearthing the best of Western and Eastern medical practices. During his life, he's been practicing several modalities of meditation based on mantra repetition, object concentration, body scanning, breath and thought observations, and more recently, guided meditation. In all cases, the mind wandered after a few minutes and you felt frustrated. That's why you developed mindful framing, ideal for the busy and overstimulated minds of the 21st century. In just 15 minutes of practice every morning, his mind's eye plays a fast-paced mental movie that creates a daily framework and helps him achieve an emotionally balanced and healthy life. So welcome, Oscar Segurado, to the Finding Your Voice Network. I am so honored to have you here.
Thank you. I'm also really excited about participating in this interview, and I'm very impressed and thrilled about everything that you have been doing, especially that you're focused on what I've also discovered over the years, and this is that women are more interested in what I'm doing than the male population. So don't ask me why, but this is the reality.
Well, let's get into that. First of all, again, I'm grateful to have you here. That's very interesting because your whole life, your work. I mean, I actually found you, interestingly enough. I'm an inquisitive gal and I do research, a lot of research. And while I was on LinkedIn looking at somebody's profile, I came across you as a connection from them. And then I went on to Amazon and I found you on Amazon and then I researched what you were doing. And then I reached out to you on LinkedIn and I just kept digging until I got in touch with you. And so let us know, give us a little bit more back history than what I was reading in your bio of your life, the backstory to what brought you to do what you're doing. You're a very well-published author, and let us know about that.
So let me say first that I was very impressed the way you put together this bio or this overview about what I've been doing. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to repeat some of the things that you said there, because this is really the key of why we are here and why I'm so interested on ensuring that as many people as possible are able to see how they can help themselves. And everything that I'm doing, and I've been doing over my entire life, a professional life, let's call it, as a physician, is to help patients. But at some point, I became the patient. And in 2014, when I had an undiagnosed disease, which was high functioning anxiety. I had been with the pharma industry for many years, and I didn't realize that I was driving myself and my family crazy in some way. And at some point, independent of that, my son had an accident and a car accident, and something happened in his brain where he had a real mental break. and a nervous breakdown that requires psychiatric help. And when I combined both things, it was, again, the end of 2014, my high functioning anxiety and that situation with my son. I decided to try to find a language with someone like my son that, again, he didn't understand at that point what was happening around him. And it was a kind of psychotic, psychiatric kind of situation. We needed to bring him, even to hospitalize him. He's doing much better now. He's in rehabilitation. At that time, he was 19 years old. So we're talking about an adult now. But over about that time, when I started helping him, and at the end of the day, he got he's in a great rehabilitation center, working and so on in Germany, because
that's great.
Germany and so on. So he's doing great now. But I started thinking, okay, what do I do now with me as a patient with high level of anxiety, amplified with what happened to my son? Again, about to enter college, he couldn't continue studying, and that's why I started looking into a spiritual kind of type of meetings, people. I especially focus on two people. One is Bruce Lipton, living also relatively close to where I live in San Jose. And he's also a physician that started looking into these kind of mind-body treatments. And also Deepak Chopra, who is living more in South in the Orange Country area, and very well known also. And I started interacting with them in person, visiting them in their offices, and then trying to figure out how would I do things. So that's why when I developed this is mindful framing. And let me start saying that this is something that you can either get the paperback for the minimum price possible for my publishers, or for free as a Kindle book. And I decided to do that because I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to understand this new approach of mindfulness. Everyone understands mindfulness, or more or less. This is a way of focusing on what happens to you in the moment, not what your brain is telling you that is happening, not in the past, the skeletons in the closet that everyone has, and also on what I call the ghost in the future, which at the end of the day makes your life very unpleasant, and makes you really forget what is important in life, which is helping yourself, helping others, and ensuring also that you take care of your well-being. So that's why I started thinking, developing all that. This book was published in 2018, has over 500 reviews, probably over 100,000 downloads. And again, I also created another nonprofit institute. So doing well by doing good, I call it. And this is called—
I say the same thing. That's very interesting. I say the same thing, doing well by doing good. It's putting goodness out there. And it's not because you were looking to get it back. It's because that's where your heart was. And that's where it always has been. And that's the same thing with me. It's when we do well by doing good in this world and lifting the vibration of this planet who so desperately needs our help, and bringing voices together to uplift this vibration. And that's what you are doing, and I'm grateful. So you got into this frame of work, this with mindfulness, and you're a doctor of, so is a doctor of, it says MD, PhD. What is the backstory there?
So the story there is that I started practicing as a neurologist. I got very interested in neuroscience. And while I was working on that, I did my PhD in neuroimmunology.
And what is neuroimmunology?
Neuroimmunology is, there are a couple of diseases that are related to neuroimmunology, which practically is the immune cells that are also in our central and peripheral nervous system. And now the most well-known disease is multiple sclerosis. And I was working in one of the best centers in the world for MS in Germany. And I wrote my PhD thesis around a very similar parallel disease to that, which instead of being the central nervous system is the peripheral nervous system. So it was everything very scientifically oriented. Again, I thought, and it was very clear that the immune system and the nervous system work together in many ways.
Yes.
And I forgot that. I started now then moving into immunology alone, immunotherapies for cancer, for autoimmune diseases. And in the next few days, I'm going to hit my 30-year mark working with the industry, so in biopharmaceutical industry. And that's why I started to do good, because I'm doing well financially, because I've been working in the industry, and obviously you and continue. And right now I'm chief medical officer of a biotechnology company here in the Bay Area, and I'm working on gene therapies of diseases in the hematology space.
That's very big. First of all, I am going to interject because I want to say congratulations on all your accomplishments. That is huge. You know, chief medical officer of a big practice, and you've got some big breakthroughs and you're with cancer and in immunology, immunotherapy. This is big stuff. This is big stuff. And these are things that are really helping people today. And they're trying to tap into, like, how does, people have been looking for a cure for cancer for years and years and years. And not that this is a cure, but we're getting closer and closer to how the body interacts with its own cells at so many levels that you can actually help yourself heal through different modalities. And you've done so much research. You've written about it. You've been the one to actually do the research, not like you read something. You're the one who did it and wrote about it and saw results and continue to dive in and peel back the layers of the onion to see how, one thing is affecting the other. And it's the mind-body connection is such an integral part of it. And our thoughts really are things. We hear that, we say it, what you speak into existence. So you've got to be real careful with thoughts and what you let overtake your mind. And the more we dwell on things, I say the word dwell, if you think about it, a dwelling is a place where you live. Your home is your dwelling. What you dwell on is also a place where you live. And if you live there long enough, you're going to see results that don't make you happy. So if you want to put a for sale sign on what you're thinking, go do it and start moving your mind into something that's more positive and move in to a place that's going to serve you much better. So please go ahead.
No, I think you're totally right. I just try to leverage my academic work, which was about 10 years. I was working in immuno-oncology, which right now is all the rage. You probably see ads, and I saw one this morning on Keytruda, which is probably the most remarkable immune therapy for cancer ever brought into this space. I work also in something called tumor-infiltrating lymphocytes, which are cells that you can activate through chimeric antigens. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much stuff, but this is one way where you can practically take your own cells, manipulate them in the lab, putting them back into the patient, and your own lymphocytes, your own white blood cells, are going to kill tumor cells, cancer cells.
Well, that's incredible. That's why I said our bodies can really, we're made to help ourselves. And I know there's so many transplants and things, but we really have our own system that could really help to heal ourselves. And there's, my dad, and he's, I know, with me still today from heaven. And he actually had cancer. And I remember hearing about Keytruda when he was around. I'll say he transitioned in 2018. So Keytruda is not new. It's maybe fairly new, into the industry of being tested more and more. what research are you doing with that?
I'm not actually working on that, but I know the Nobel Prize person, Jim Allison, who invented practically that space, and is a way to block one way that the tumor cells have to avoid the immune system. When you give that drug, about only 20% of the patients are able to let their immune cells do the job. But again, there is still 80% of the patients that do not respond. Still, Keytruda is going to be the best-selling drug in history, probably, because the previous one was another drug I was working with very thoroughly during almost 8 years, is Humira, which is also what was also doing the same thing, but in patients with autoimmune diseases. It could be psoriasis, it could be rheumatoid arthritis, it could be Crohn's disease. And I worked at that time with Abbott Laboratories, also AbbVie.
Yes, Abbott Labs, very big.
Abbott Labs, yeah. And yeah, I spent 15 years with Abbott Labs and AbbVie. So again, these are drugs that totally change the way we see autoimmunity and cancer. And I then moved into, I'm in a different space now, manipulating, let's say, some genetic diseases. But at the end of the day, I am again very interested on this area. And my new point, and I hope at some point I can conduct even a clinical trial, is that we can, with our mind, manipulate the immune system. Probably not as definitely as you can with Humira or with Keytruda, but we can help these drugs do a better job. And that's why, and one of the best way to explain that is through anxiety. I think anxiety, burnout, about, I would say, over 50% of the population in one way or another have anxiety. There are two types of anxiety. One is what I call situational anxiety, which is what happens when you're just waiting, and again, talking about doctors in the waiting room, and you're about to speak with your doctor, you're a little bit anxious. That's fine. But you can have also chronic anxiety, which is the one that is driven by a continuous kind of thought process about the past, the future, and whatever happens to you. And this degrades the activity of your immune system. That is going to amplify any kind of autoimmune disease or cancer that you have. And one of the reasons is very simple. When you have anxiety, you're increasing your levels of cortisol. Cortisol is the same as what we give to patients when they have an excessive inflammatory response. We give them corticosteroids.
Right.
It's a synthetic analog from cortisol that you produce in your body. To have a little bit of cortisol when you have this situational anxiety, it's okay, it's good, because you can transform that. And that's the title of my book. My book is titled Transform Your Anxiety into Vital Energy. And here I
love that.
And here I'm talking about situational anxiety. So it's going to give you energy. If you are nervous about this visit with your doctor, you're going to start thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to discuss with him. I shouldn't forget this. I have to. So it's giving you energy. You are going to.
I have a question, doctor. I have a question. Before we go on, because I'm just wondering, does it matter? And I have a feeling I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm not 100%. Does it matter where the anxiety may be coming from, if it's excitement because you're excited about something, or if you're anxious? Does your body know the difference? Are you releasing a different hormone, whether you're excited or anxious? Because they're both high energy. If you're excited to do something, that nervous energy about going on a stage or speaking or seeing a doctor, versus excited to, see somebody you haven't seen in a long time. Is there a difference? Does your body, there's a book called Your Body Keeps Score, or something, it was something like that. Is there a difference in the mind-body connection with that and what you're speaking about with anxiety?
I don't think there is a difference. What is the situation that is driving you into a, limited frame type of anxiety that happens because of a situation. There is something happening to you and you're reacting with an increase of cortisol, maybe in adrenaline, serotonin. There are many neurotransmitters. The problem is when you have burnout. The problem is when you have something going on in your personal life, in your professional life, in your family life, or you're running out of money, and this is not letting you sleep. You don't eat well, you start snacking, and you are destroying the entire framework that you need in terms of well-being. That's really the area where I am focusing on my book. I am telling people that's okay that you have this situational anxiety, ensure that you take the good thing about that, and you are realize that. Now, I'm giving the people also a recipe to control the chronic anxiety. And this is what I call mindful framing, what means that instead of letting all your thoughts and concerns driving you nuts, which is what happens normally. Okay, your mind is going to do three things, which all three are not good. One of them is that you're going to have negative thoughts. Your mind loves negative stuff. Everything that is happening anywhere in the world that is not good is going to give you a sense of fun in some way. I'm sorry using that term, but you're saying, okay, you see that this guy is not doing well, I'm doing much better. I was watching, I just put a little bit the TV this morning, the Murdo criminal case somewhere in South Carolina. Okay, so it's now full-time in CNN now. And when you see, oh my God, this guy is going to go to prison, you see, that's a negative thing, but you can also have your own personal stuff that is going to, you're going to almost crave for it. The other thing that your mind is going to do is that you're going to have these kind of thoughts in a repetitive manner. It's going to happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow, the day after, and this is going to be non-productive. You're just going to have the same thought coming over and over about your past, your future, your present, your family, your friends, your work, your boss, right. Everything is going. And then there is another thing that happened to us, the third thing. And this is that everyone has, I'm sure, experienced what is called a circular thought. It's a thought that happens at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then the same thought, exactly the same thought, repeats and comes back again without any reason at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m., at 2 p.m. It's different from repetitive, which is kind of the same theme. This is the actual similar thought coming over and over. So when you put together negative, repetitive, and circular, this is what drives the people crazy. Burnout. And this is chronic anxiety. This is something that is not good. So my solution to that is mindful framing. Mindful framing has nothing to do with meditation, has nothing to do with any other type of mindfulness approaches that are out there. This is a visualization technique or practice. Visualization is something that basically 95% of the people can do. There is only about 1 to 5% of the people that have a kind of neurological problem. It's called aphantasia. You are not able to fantasize or to have daydreaming or whatever we want to call it. But I give the people the actual steps that you need to frame your mind in a very specific way. Repetitive.
So I have another question. So it seems to me, and maybe to the listeners, that in your quest to heal yourself from anxiety, this is what started the trajectory of your own research.
Absolutely.
That is now turned out into your book, and you have multiple books I saw on Amazon, and this is what you're now using to help others in healing themselves. Is that correct?
That's correct. And when I started devising my book, I realized that I needed a kind of graphical way to explain these images that I'm telling the people to use in a visualization with 5 steps. And this is the way I describe it. I hope it can be seen here in these beautiful illustrations put together by someone that was stolen from me by Apple. The guy is now an illustrator for whatever Apple is doing. And
Wow.
here, organism, nature, emotions, and organism. And you see a lady there, and a kind of tree. So the book
Yes.
is all about trees, and a woman, and that woman is a detective in Boston, and I explain the story of this detective and how this is the end of the story, when she wins and she finds the killer in a detective story.
Wow.
And this detective story, which is the beginning of the book, also explains the immune system. The book is relatively thin. It's just, again, maybe 80 pages or something. Less. 67 pages.
Very good. Easy read, powerful.
It's not easy read. Some people.
No, easy as far as short read. I didn't mean easy read. It's a
I
short read.
call it should be, it's a book, it's a working book.
Yes.
People don't get that, and that's why some people, you're going to see that from my 550 reviews, there are some people that say, "Oh, I didn't enjoy the book." The book is a working book. It's a nightstand book. It's something that you read and you start practicing it. If you don't do that, then that's more difficult. I have 2 websites. One website is called MindFB or mindfulbook.org. That also works. Both go to the same place. That works on this book. It has a video. It has many, about almost 30 or 40 different blogs, which are the preparation for my next book, with different aspects. I explain what is oxytocin, what is serotonin, what is cortisol. I explain the mind-body connection, I explain happiness. All is there for free. And then there is another area, which also includes the same blogs, which is called neochi.org. And this is what is also part of the idea, which is not only this practice that can take 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 1 hour, where you visualize and you create your own framework for your mind, but I also talk about the Neo-Chi lifestyle. And let me explain that in a moment. I have so much stuff that you can.
Well, you know what I'm going to say? We're going to have you back on, because I don't want to overwhelm everybody. There's so much information.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have you, we're going to put, when you put this up there in the Finding Your Voice Network, your website, your information, how to get in touch with you, because there's a lot that you offer, a lot of great things for free, tools that they can go on and that they can get from you. So I'm going to do that. And the chi is like, your chi is your aura, right? Is that your chi? Yeah. And that's phenomenal. So there's also, I know a lot of people who are going to want to reach out to you. So we're going to get your information, but right now, as we speak and get ready to end our conversation today, how can people reach you? What is the information? And again, we'll put it in the notes when we post this, but how can they reach you?
Again, I have two websites. One website is more focused on the book and the practice,
right?
How to do this visualization. There are many YouTube videos. There are other.
What's that website?
Mindfb.com.
Mind F as in Frank, B as in boy.
Yeah. .com.
Mindfb.com.
That's right. It talks about the book, and it's all about the practice. The second website is called neochi.org.
Neochi, NEOCHI.org.
NEOCHI.
NEOCHI, right? Neochi.
Chi is the word used in Eastern culture for energy.
Yes.
And Neo, N-E-O, comes from nature, emotions, and organism. And these are the 3 parameters that I explain in that website, where people I tell people, and this is just one minute, that they have to do three things on what I call Neo-Chi lifestyle. Focus on on nature. So the way to liberate your mind is to go out there and to connect with nature, with birds, with trees, with plants, with wood, with everything that is natural. And I explain how to do that. The second one is emotions, which is connecting with people, with your family, with your friends, with yourself, ensuring that there is these emotional connections in your life. And the third, the O, is organism. How important it is to take care of your body, your organism, and that's why I call it Neo-Chi lifestyle.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, Dr. Segurado, I am so grateful to have you here today. And again, I am just beyond grateful. And I want you to be able to connect with everybody in the group. I know we're going to have you in here again, and we'll put you all your information in the notes so they can reach out to you. And are there any last parting words you'd like to share? This is our Finding Your Voice Network. And you certainly have shared yours, and you're finding yours in such a grand way throughout the world, and continue to elevate others, because of the information, the knowledge that you're imparting upon this world is just life-changing, and you're making a huge impact. So hats off to you, and thank you so much for sharing your voice with us today.
Let me just use finding your voice to tell something to everyone.
Yes.
I use another analogy, which is telling everyone they should be the directors of their own movie. It's the way you visualize everything in what I explained. So finding your own voice, your voice is absolutely the key point, so that you don't, you're not so depending on all other people. Each of us is a completely different and very unique individual and soul. So keep. I love the way you're explaining everything. Find your voice.
Thank you so much. I am very grateful. I received that with lots of love and gratitude. So thank you for joining us today in this network. And I know we're going to have you back again. And until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay happy, and don't forget to go out there and use your voice and stay connected. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.